Hi there viewers, thank you so much for joining us on this edition of the news. We go right away to our major stories. The journalism family in Cameroon and across the world is still in shock following the brutal, gruesome murder of one of theirs, Martinez Sogos. Martinez Sogos was kidnapped, brutally killed and abandoned somewhere on the outskirts of Yaoundé. And journalism associations across the world, political actors, and also the international community want justice for Martinez Sogos. And also in this edition of the news, is the government prepared for another mediation to end the Anglophone crisis in Cameroon? We will be telling you more in this edition of the news. Stay with us. Welcome back, viewers. We begin today's edition of the news again on a sad note following the shocking discovery of the corpse of Martinez Sogos, who was brutally killed. The Minister for Communication, Minister Rene Emmanuel Sadi, was today at Amplitude FM in Yaoundé, where Martinez Sogos worked. The minister was there to extend condolences to the workers and also to sympathizers of the program of Martinez Sogos, Embouteillage, and also those his colleagues who worked with him. So we will be coming to the minister's visit to Amplitude FM. There in the images you can see Minister Rene Emmanuel Sadi arriving at the premises of Amplitude FM in Yaoundé. That was earlier today, where Martinez Sogos, who was kidnapped on January 17 and was found dead about 5 days later. His corpse, we know, was mutilated. Some parts of his body were chopped off, and the corpse has been deposited at the mortuary of the Yaoundé Central Hospital. There in the images you see the Minister for Communication arriving there at Amplitude FM, where Martinez Sogos animated the program Embouteillage. He is there now in the studio with the editor-in-chief of Amplitude FM and other colleagues. And we will sure be coming to the minister's visit to Amplitude FM, which was earlier today at 8 p.m. And now, the widow of Martinez Sogos wants justice for her husband. And her husband, she says, was kidnapped, tortured, and killed by yet to be identified persons who are still on the run. She was speaking to our reporters at their family residence in Yaoundé.
Martinez Sogos in Figuerolles, Yaoundé. It was total consternation that we saw on the faces of those who came to support the family of the journalist who was assassinated. Everyone is still in shock about the happening. The family is calling on justice to take its course, and those who killed him should be brought to book. My husband was murdered like a pig, a dog, an animal. I want justice to be served to those who killed my husband. The Cameroonian justice system should prove its efficiency. Just like the wife, other mourners are calling on justice for the death of Martinez Sogos. All that we want is justice, because the way he was murdered, it was cruel. Anyone who saw his corpse will understand. Let justice be done. Martinez Sogos is a big brother to me. I can't still believe that he's gone. I hope that the Cameroonian justice system will find the people concerned as soon as possible. Martinez Sogos was a father, and he left behind a wife and 4 kids. Notwithstanding the condition at which he was killed, at the time of this report, security was not placed at Martinez Sogos' residence for security purpose. Instead, mourners who are taking their turns to encourage the family left behind by the journalist. We are there without protection. The children are very frustrated. I'm calling on the president to guarantee our security. Martinez Zogo was the program host of Embouteillage on Amplitude FM. On the contrary, the congestion is not on the airwaves of Amplitude FM, but at the residence of Martinez Zogo.
And since the corpse of Martinez Sogos was discovered mutilated and in an advanced state of decomposition, there have been so many reactions on social media asking for justice to be done. Our reporter Mala Glory compiled some of those reactions on social media.
Tortured and murdered by yet to be identified individuals, Zogo's soul is yet to rest in peace. This is because Cameroon media body and other national organizations keep condemning the brutal killing of the journalist. The Cameroon bar on his part has not been silent since the announcement of Martinez Sogos' death. In a recent release signed by the president of the Cameroon Bar Association, Barrister Mba Eric Mba, he condemns the abduction and the killing of Arsène Salomon Bani Zogo, and also notes with regret the fact that a general atmosphere is steadily taking over our societies, characterized by frequent killings. The Cameroon Bar has therefore expressed its willingness to be part of the investigation process in order to bring the perpetrators to book. The Cameroon Human Rights Commission says they were appealed to learn of the death of the Yaoundé-based journalist. The CHRC strongly condemns this barbaric act, which seriously undermines fundamental right to life, physical and moral integrity, as well as freedom of opinion, expression and press. The National Human Rights of Cameroon urges the competent authorities to carry out proper investigations. And the Teachers' Trade Union characterized the act as hideous and barbaric. They regret the fact that it happened in a society like theirs, and worst when the victims seek for help in front of the security officials but get shot in the face. Meanwhile, the president of the reform movement argues that the boss of the gendarmerie and the police are unable to protect citizens on Cameroon territory. According to Celestin Tawamba, president of JICAM, the government should ensure the security of each individual. While pressure is being mounted on government authorities, Cameroonian nurse expectation as investigations have been opened by the government to bring the perpetrators to book.
Perpetrators to book, the international community too is adding its voice onto that of Cameroonians to condemn the gruesome killing of Martinez Zogo. They want the perpetrators to be brought to book, as Immaculate Fogwe tells us in this report.
The news of the gruesome murder of prominent Cameroonian journalist Martinez Zogo of Amplitude Radio has not left only Cameroonians in anger, as it has also triggered condemnation from across the globe on social media. According to the Committee to Protect Journalists, Cameroonian authorities must conduct a swift and thorough investigation on the shocking abduction and later killing of the journalist. The European Union, in a statement, strongly condemns the murder of the well-known Cameroonian radio host. It equally recalls the crucial role played by the free and independent media in Cameroon. Voice of America (VOA) calls for investigation on the death of prominent radio reporter. Amnesty International demands that the perpetrators of the act should not go unpunished. They urge the Cameroonian government to recall the importance of freedom of information and expression as guaranteed by national and international laws, and that they should commit to protecting human rights defenders, including those who expose corrupt practices. Reporters Without Borders equally condemn the brutal abduction of the journalist. Senior Associate and Regional Director for Africa, Dr. Christopher Fominio, expressed total shock over the kidnapping and assassination of the journalist. The international community unanimously called on the Cameroonian government to launch an investigation to establish a full chain of responsibility and circumstances that led to the brutal killing of journalist Martinez Zogo.
And now, will any investigation on the murder of Martinez Sogos yield fruit? This is the question almost lives on the national and international level. This is because other journalists and even the prelates have been killed. Investigations were opened with no result at the end. Let's now have more with Innocent Aze.
To Cameroonians, it has become a lyric hearing the Cameroonian government opening investigations to shed light on crimes committed by individuals behind the mask or in the dark, but never getting outcome of these investigations for justice to take its course. According to commentators, this gives President Paul Biya's compatriots the impression that the perpetrators are covered and allowed to go scot-free, while the innocent victims languish in their graves, as well as their loved ones they left behind. These comments popped up when the Cameroonian government for a repeated time opened investigation and promised to do everything in their power to identify those behind the kidnapping and gruesome killing of journalist Martinez Sogos and bring them to justice. This government's reaction was triggered by the national and international press, civil society, politicians, rights organizations, and people of every domain of the society who urged the authorities to initiate and implement a prompt, effective, thorough, and implement an impartial investigation to shed light on this horrific event. From past experience, many believe the investigation on the Martinez Sogos case will only end up at the backyard, like that of Samuel Wazizi, arrested and murdered on the 2nd of June 2020 for allegedly aiding separatists in the southwest region. The Cameroonian authorities delayed for 10 months since his arrest in August 2019 in Boya before admitting he had died in detention after pressure from every angle, especially relatives of the journalist. The results of the investigation that was apparently conducted by the military police and sent to the head of state have thus far not been made public. Till present, the family of Wazizi is yet to be told the whereabouts of his corpse despite promises. The matter has been frozen. Another investigation ordered to be conducted, but that proved infertile, was that on the death of journalist Ngota Germain on the 22nd of April 2010 in Kondengi prison, Yaoundé. Detained for investigating corruption allegations involving top justice boss and the state-run oil company SNH, Germain died from a lack of medical attention. Condemnations and calls for a full and proper investigation by government authorities into Ngota's death and bring those responsible to justice fell on deaf ears. The matter surrounding his death ended like that. Ngota, 38, was the first Cameroonian journalist to lose his life in relation to his work, according to the Committee to Protect Journalists, CPJ Research, which goes back to 1992. Second was Samuel Wazizi, accused of collaborating with separatists, and then Martinez Sogos, who was critical of state officials and embezzlement of public funds in Cameroon. Many believe his life was the price.
Hopefully this time around the investigations yield positive fruits and the culprits brought to book. Now we talk something else. We talk the Anglophone crisis. The Canadian Ministry of Foreign Affairs is insisting that Canada has spoken with the states of Cameroon and also separatists in the northwest and the southwest regions to ensure that peace is restored to the northwest and the southwest regions of the country. But Cameroon, through the Minister for Communications, says Cameroon does not need any mediation or any mediator from Canada to end the 6-year-old Anglophone crisis, and reacting to the reaction from the Communications Minister Rene Emmanuel Sadi, political actors wonder who is benefiting from all these lies. For me, Armstrong Sanda tells us more.
The Sadi Rene Emmanuel communique came as another frustrating input into positive and high hopes that were raised following the Melanie Joly release of Friday, January the 20th, 2023. While Cameroonians and friends were still on their knees, thankful and praying for a God-ordained outcome out of Canada, Sadi Rene Emmanuel said the government of Cameroon knows nothing and has mandated nobody to mediate peace talks out of the conflict in the Anglophone Northwest and Southwest regions. Reacting, a political analyst, Mr. Sama Abang Mungwa, says he is not surprised.
I made it clear that I was not very enthusiastic, and I wasn't very much into the fanfare of how at last peace talks have begun, because I don't know, for one reason or another, I felt that there was still much to be said.
He says the Canadian communication left a window which has been exploited by the government of Cameroon.
And one of the points of my reticence in the document by the Canadian government was the fact that it indicated in its last but one paragraph that it had received the mandate to mediate in the ongoing crisis in the Northwest and the Southwest, bringing together the government of Cameroon and some separatist fighters. But I raised the issue that it did not go further to tell us who had given it that mandate, who had conferred that mandate on them, whether it was the government, or whether it was the separatist fighters, or whether it was an interested third party. That it didn't tell us. And that left now the room open for this kind of drama that we are now experiencing.
La normalisation, c'est le fait des Camerounais.
Patrick Rifwe of the ruling Cameroon People's Democratic Movement, the CPGM party, says the Minister René Emmanuel Sadi's communique falls in line with the non-interference policy of the government of Cameroon. Rifwe, like René Emmanuel Sadi, reiterates that measures already taken by the government of Cameroon are yielding positive fruit on the ground. He thinks what Cameroon needs is for friendly countries to handicap separatist leaders. However, friendly countries like the United States of America, through its embassy in Yaoundé, welcomed the Mélanie Joly announcement of peace talks in Canada and went ahead to congratulate all parties to the discussions for their courage. Faced with the celebrated announcement from Ottawa, Canada, and the rebuttal from Yaoundé, Cameroon, Sama Mungwa, like many, wonder.
À qui profite le mensonge?
And now, economic actors of the CEMAC sub-region have been meeting in Douala to seek ways of boosting economic activities among CEMAC member countries. Our reporter Babila Jonathan spoke with some economic actors. He now tells us more.
Inflation and increasing cost of living fast becoming unbearable, particularly for the poor and low-income earners who make up a good proportion of the population of Africa. In the Central African sub-region, officials of the Economic and Financial Reforms Program, PREF-CEMAC, say governments of CEMAC member countries are taking measures to monitor, control, and provide solutions to the prevailing situation.
At the level of our central bank, and finally, at the national level, we are trying to control prices. We are trying to see the question of subvention. We are trying also to see how better organize trade between our countries. And finally, our government have given us instruction to work on a program to develop agriculture and a program to develop trade between our countries. Also to make sure that we are not going to continue to buy things which we can produce locally in our region.
During a meeting in Douala in preparation for the 18th ordinary session of PREF-CEMAC, we asked the organ's permanent secretary, Professor Njena Wembu, how soon will these measures yield concrete results with trickle-down effects on the living conditions of the populations.
We are trying to run fast, but be sure when you read our document, you will see that we are not talking theories. We are talking practical measures.
On the regional integration drive of the CEMAC sub-region, the chairperson of the PREF-CEMAC follow-up committee, Antoine Kodiak, said the execution rate of projects designed to break geopolitical, economic and social barriers between countries stands at 70%. Out of the 11 projects, 8 are under execution.
We have started the 8 projects, and we can give you the number of the project, number of kilometers of road already tied, and we can tell you where we are with this, our school, Cameroon University with Congo in Sangwilima, and we are confident that special measures will be taken with our partners for the 4 remaining projects.
The integration process in Central Africa has been going on for decades and is yet to meet up with other parts of the continent like West Africa, where integration has been effective for several years.
And now we take you to the southwest region in the Manu division, where a filling station there completely took to flames. The exact cause of the inferno is still unknown, but it is speculated that it began from a nearby fuel tanker which was also in flames. Smart Njikan Gabriel completes the story.
A sad day for the inhabitants who live in Mamfe, Manu division of the southwest region. It was at about 7:30 p.m. Monday night that fire broke out at the lone fuel station of the town. Contrary to the information that was spread on social media, Equinoxe television source in Mamfe told us that the fire that burned the lone fuel station of the town began at the small park behind the filling station, where it was alleged that an unknown person lit fire to a car carrying fuel from Nigeria. The fire later spread to destroy the lone filling station found in Mamfe. It is alleged that the situation is getting worse because of the infighting currently going on within the ranks of the Petrol Union members in Mamfe. Since the members have been asking for new elections to get a new president, it's alleged the administrative authorities within the town have decided to impose the incumbent. For now, the population of Mamfe will surely openly endorse the use of roadside fuel, fondly known as Zuazua or Funge, while waiting for a new filling station to be constructed.
And now, viewers, before we go, we talk the relationship between traditional and modern medicine in an African context. Cameroon, to be more precise, people prefer to use traditional medicine more to modern medicine. And the reason to that was given in a conference which was organized here in Douala, and our reporter, Lucy Diengu Esia, was there.
Africa has a rich history of herbal medicine usage. At the same time, Africa, and Cameroon in particular, recognizes the importance of incorporating herbal medicine and modern medicine. According to a report published by the World Health Organization, 80% of Africans prefer traditional medicine for their health care. In a conference organized by Professor Emmanuel Kweta, a tradi practitioner and at the same time gynecologist, the relationship that exists between traditional medicine and modern medicine was elaborated upon.
I'm a traditional healer. I like starting from there, and at the same time I'm a medical doctor. I'm a gynecologist, and then with my practice I've noticed that this medicine, both of them, they work together. You notice that no matter what we say or what we do, there's a limit in all this medicine. So we really need to trying to bring them together, not trying to say this can do this, this cannot do, but simply trying to see how these two medicines can come together.
The conference, which saw the presence of an imam, a priest, traditional doctors, physiotherapists, had as objective bringing to light the challenges faced by many, which could be spiritual or medical.
La relation qui existe entre la médecine moderne et la médecine traditionnelle, elle est étroite.
At first, we had people with fractures, women giving birth, who were treated traditionally. Today, they can also be treated medically. So this brings to us the understanding of these two medicines.
Donc du coup, même dans les prises en charge, il est important de commencer par l'hôpital.
Despite high considerations given to traditional medicine around the world, Professor Emmanuel Kreta tells us that it has some challenges.
Every department, there are charlatans. The main problem is most people, they make us to believe that our medicine is not important, of which to me it is important. There are situations you don't need to think as a medical doctor, you just think as a traditional doctor, and it works.
The meeting also enabled participants to ask questions related to dreams, witchcraft, spiritual attacks, amongst others, which threatens peace in Africa.
And viewers, that was what we put together for you on the news this evening. Thank you so much for always being with us. Don't go away, the news in the French language comes up at 8 p.m. Meantime, Serge Alongotu will be in the studio in under 30 minutes with his guests for the program Equinoxe. Stay with us.